This is likely going to be one of the final videos I make with my 2015 BMW i8. I've spent the last 2 years with the car, put over 20,000 miles on it, and I've loved every single moment with it. This video is going to kind of talk about my final opinions of it, the final review of the ownership experience living with the vehicle. I've driven a ton of different cars, a huge selection all over the place, but I've only owned a very small subset. I've had this i8, I had a Boss 302 Laguna Seca, and I have my Audi S4. The i8 really does drive and feel unlike anything else out there. It's very unique and different from other vehicles in this segment or just in general. When I came into getting this car, I knew that I wasn't planning on keeping it long term, and that hasn't changed. After 2 years with it, I'm ready to move on to the next vehicle. But what has changed is I have decided that someday in the future, I really want to own one again. Maybe it'll be a final year with the laser headlights, all the most updates before they end this model forever. I think I want actually, no, not I think. I know I want to have a BMW i8 at some point again in my life because I have really enjoyed it this much. The exterior is one of my favorite parts of this car. If I had to tell somebody, what do you love the most about having an i8, I think it's just the way it looks. It was one of the appeals when I first was looking into the vehicle. It just looks like a spaceship. They kept a lot of the conceptual design cues from the Efficient Dynamics concept. It looks unlike anything else out there. It's one of the very unique designs. And another thing is, it looks truly exotic. This thing can fit in with a group of true supercars, with Ferraris and Lamborghinis and McLarens. You can roll up in this car and it looks like it belongs. The styling of it just evokes a lot of the technology behind it. You look at the car and you're like, wow. I've had people ask me, is that a spaceship or not? They have asked me, is that a concept car? I love looking at this car. Every time I see it, I had the unique wrap on it that I came up with that I really loved. Some people weren't a huge fan of it, but I don't care. I think it looked, it's the way I wanted it to look. Butterfly doors. You never get tired of opening the door up and getting in the car. The lighting on it, especially at night, it just looks so futuristic. The way this car looks really does kind of highlight the purpose of it. It's a technology design showcase. It was purposefully, it looks non-conventional with the doors, obviously. You've got like the arrow channels with the flying buttresses in the back. The lighting looks cool. Overall, the exterior design is definitely one of the favorite parts of having this vehicle. The interior, on the other hand, is all right. It was never my favorite part. The first thing I said when I got in the car was like, oh, it's not that special. Especially when you look at the outside. The outside, like I just said, looks so amazing and exotic. You'd think the interior might match that. Honestly, the i3 interior uses more exotic materials and design things that are different, unconventional. The inside of the i8 feels very, very almost conservative. You got pretty much all the same BMW buttons, the iDrive knob, the shifter that you would find in every other BMW in the lineup. They did a few little things of like the interior lighting, and now again, I do have the base level interior package. But even then, you can go up a little bit, you get a little bit more leather, some like, I don't know if there's suede, but I know you get a lot more leather by going up to like pure impulse roll and stuff, but I didn't think that was worth it. I mean, the general functionality is there, but the design and the tech and the luxury wasn't like blowing me away. It was acceptable, but it didn't feel like a $150,000 car interior. That being said, people really do love to see into the car. I've noticed whenever I have it parked at a car show or Cars and Coffee, people are always like trying to peer through the window to see what it's like. When I open up the doors, leave it open, people love seeing into the car, which I thought was interesting. Overall, though, it's functional, it's comfortable enough, it's decently spacious. The rear seats aren't useful, but up front, I'm fine. Great visibility. It has a lot of the tech and luxury features you would want, but it has a couple that are conspicuously missing. It does not have memory seats. It does not have blind spot warning. For a $150,000 vehicle, you're like, wait a second, that seems like a severe oversight. Overall, the interior feels very familiar to any BMW owner, but it does trend a little tiny bit towards the technology stuff, but I think it could have gone a lot more daring to match the way the exterior looks. Now, how does it drive? A lot of people think it's lame because it's a hybrid. I personally love the way it drives because it's so different from everything else. The drive modes were something that drew me to this car when I first got it. I like that you could go from pure electric to a hybrid mode to an auto cycling mode in between the two. In pure electric mode, it's not fast. It's front-wheel drive only. It's like 170 horse. It's puny. It's only the front electric motors. And there is a significant feeling of this thing is underpowered. But once you throw it into sport mode and the engine kicks on, a little tiny 1.5 liter 3-cylinder running many pounds of boost from the turbos, supplemented by another electric motor back there, it gets going. It's all-wheel drive. It is on relatively skinny tires. I have 215s up front and 245s in the back. But, I mean, this thing isn't, I wouldn't call it slow. It's not fast per se. It's not like supercar levels of fast, but I will keep up with a Corvette or a M4, M3 without a problem. So if you throw the price tag out the window, it's not like this car is slow. Everyone that I've given a ride in or they've driven it, they've been like, wow, that was actually impressive. They were surprised by how much more it was able to deliver than what they expected going into the vehicle. With the pure electric motors, you get instant torque. Something I love doing is on the freeway, you'll be in 6th gear and I kind of just like bury the throttle a little bit, and it doesn't even, engine doesn't downshift. You just get that mountain of electric torque and you just surge forward. It's a pretty smooth drivetrain. There are a few little calibration issues that I've noticed. Sometimes when you're in automatic drivetrain mode, the cycle between going from pure electric transition into kicking the motor in is not as instantaneous or smooth as you would expect. To describe what would happen, it feels like really bad turbo lag, but it's essentially engine lag, I guess. The engine's not on. You come off a light, you usually start in pure electric mode, so you start cruising away slowly. But let's just say you want to get going quickly. You give it a lot more throttle, all of a sudden the car's like, oh wait, he wants more power. Then it has to kick the engine in. But sometimes a little bit of a delay there, and that's not the best. To solve that, just leave it in sport mode, and then you just have full power all the time. You can just launch it off the line. Launch control is fun in this car, legitimately. It chirps the tires through the 2nd gear change. Let's see, I could probably do one right now. It's pretty simple. It's got a torque converter transmission, but it's all-wheel drive. Makes pretty good power, but brake all the way down, traction and control dynamic. It'll do 60 in about the 4-second range is what people have reported. The quarter mile, I personally have run it in 12.6 a bunch of times in a row. The lowest I've seen is lower 12s. Some of the magazines have tested that. The top speed of the car is electronically limited to 155. Allegedly, somebody driving an exact same car as mine who looked very similar to me, allegedly was able to achieve 158 on the downhill slope. But I mean, it's quick enough for daily use. The big thing is you can utilize it. In a McLaren 720S, you bury your foot for that long, and you're probably doing like 190 miles an hour. And you're like, this is a little bit sketchy. The road just ended. I did not realize the road was going to end here. I'm going to flip a U-turn. Okay, now that we're back on pavement, let's talk about usable power. It's quick, it's fun. I can launch it off a line, and it's enjoyable. And something like a 720S, you'd probably be just quadrupling the speed limit all of a sudden. And there's limitations of where you can utilize the true potential of a car like that. It's kind of the debate of, is it more fun to drive a fast car slow or a slow car fast? I think a slow car fast is a lot more enjoyable, like a Miata. It's a lot of fun to whip a Miata around. Let's try launch control again, because the previous time it didn't go into full launch mode. All right, dynamic traction control activated. Foot hard down. So it's fun. The driving experience is something I really enjoy. There's never been a time where just like, that's boring to drive. It's always a cool experience. The noises it makes aren't 100% real. We'll discuss that in a little bit. But it just feels so different from everything else out there. Tying on to kind of the driving experience, I mentioned it briefly too, but like a lot of the friends who I've let drive the car, I traded with like my friend John for the weekend and some other people. Tyler had it when I had the R8. They're all like, wow, it was actually pretty cool. It was nice. People liked it. It obviously, compared to like an R8, it feels slower, but like it was quick. They liked how smooth it was. It just felt so different. And then the experience in terms of the reactions you get from everybody else. Driving this car around turns a lot of heads. Just going to gas, people look at it. People sometimes ask to take pictures. They'll come up and ask you questions. The most common 2 questions I've ever received are A, how much does it cost? And B, how fast does it go? Those are like the 2 common ones. Oh, the third one, I guess, is a lot of people are like, oh, it's not a manual transmission? I was like, what? This is a lot of people who ask it don't know anything about cars, but there have been a couple people who are like, it's not a manual? I'm like, no, that would not work. Just imagine the powertrain complexity of, that would be bad. Not a manual transmission. But again, I've got a lot of positive responses from it. Some people have asked me if it's a Lamborghini, probably because the doors go up. Been asked if it's a concept car. It's a lot of fun. I don't notice it as much because I'm usually driving and concentrating on the road, but like when friends are in their car, they'd be like, why is everybody like taking videos when they drive by? And it's a really fun part of having a car like this, because if I don't want to like get attention or do that type of stuff, I would drive my Audi. With this, like, it's a fun, exotic experience, and that's what you're getting into. And like half the reason why you would get an exotic sports car is for part of that's why are cars styled? Because you want people to see them and appreciate them, be like, wow, that's a cool looking vehicle. Otherwise, all cars would just look like aerodynamic boxes, probably. Either way, there's been a lot of positive reception from people who have actually experienced the car. Ownership cost is something we should discuss. As I've talked about in past videos, though, I got this car for a very, very good deal. Over $23,000 off sticker price, leading to a monthly payment of less than $1,000 a month. At the original full price of the car, I wouldn't have considered it. I couldn't have afforded it, and B, I didn't want to, and C, it was just, I don't think it was quite worth it. But at the money I got it for, I think it's a no-brainer. John's M3, which is an M3 competition pack, pretty highly loaded, actually costs more than this car does. And at that point, you're like, okay, I'm going to take the most exotic one. I actually prefer this to the M3. I don't know if people are going to hate on me for saying that, but I 100% would rather drive this than an M3 competition pack. I just like it more. Other costs associated. Maintenance and service is all included, obviously, as warranty. This car has gone in for warranty work. There was a faulty fuel pressure sensor about 6,000 miles in. It was in the middle of winter, and that required a brand new fuel pump assembly. That car was down for about a week, but I didn't care because they gave me a brand new 7 Series loaner to drive around in the middle of winter. There was also a service bulletin for low engine oil pressure, which they did a couple oil changes and changed something. There was a part change, I think, that required for it to fix that. But again, all that was covered, included maintenance on these BMWs. Obviously, they probably bundled into the price you're getting the car for. But either way, there was no extra money that I had to put out for the service and maintenance, oil changes. It's included up to, I think, 4 years. They changed it recently. It's either 3 or 4 years and 30 or 40,000 miles, something like that. You can see it on the window sticker of the car, and your dealer will be able to tell you how long you have included maintenance. But there are a lot of other costs associated. Tires are not cheap. There are only one set of tires in the world that fit this stock OEM size. I didn't go aftermarket wheels and tires, so they're these performance run flats that are, again, 215s by 20s and 245 by 20s, and they're pricey. I think I paid $1,500 a set, and that was me trying to get a good deal on them. So I had to put new tires on the car. Registration was a lot too, because in Michigan it's stupid, and they base it off the MSRP of your vehicle, and this car was, I think, around $700, and even more, to add insult to injury, I got charged an additional like $60 because it's a plug-in hybrid. Michigan instituted some law where plug-in hybrids and electric cars are charged an additional amount of money. I was like, what? Shouldn't people be rewarded for buying fuel-efficient vehicles? Like in California, you get like tax credits and stuff like that. Figures in Michigan, they're like, I'm going to charge you more. My dad was like, the reasoning is because I would spend less on gas money, so they get less revenue from me in terms of gas taxes, so I got charged more. So if you buy a plug-in hybrid, or like imagine picking up like a Chevy Volt and be like, your registration is an extra $60. It's like, all right, that's dumb. It's the principle of it, not so much the cost. It's the principle that annoyed me. In addition, insurance was about typical for what I expected at my age, where I live, for this type of vehicle. Michigan does have really, really high insurance premiums, but it wasn't anything exorbitantly high that I was like, oh my God, this is so expensive to insure. Beyond that, ownership costs, I did mess around stuff with it. It's got a radar system in it. I put the wrap on it, obviously. I took it on trips. Nothing was over the top surprise. If I were to own it out of warranty, you might get some surprises, so I don't think I would like to do that, either buy CPO or get a brand new one or lease a new one, something along the lines of that. So is there anything about this car that I would change? About the car specifically, I don't think so, because I've really learned to understand what the purpose of this car was, what it was designed to do, and why they did what they did. So a lot of people, I could easily say, I miss making noise. Why doesn't it have an exhaust? Why doesn't it have a bigger engine? That was never the purpose of the i8. It was a technology showcase for efficiency. They weren't going to make the M version of this car because they're trying to establish I as a brand, kind of like M. So it's the efficient version. So it would have made sense to put a big engine in here to make it a bunch of horsepower. Would I like that? Heck yeah, of course I would like that. It would be awesome. This thing had like either the straight 6 from the M3, M4, or heck, the 4.4 liter twin turbo V8 with hybrid, and the way it looks, it would be awesome. It'd be like an R8 killer. It'd be a budget McLaren. But no, that was not the point of it. Do I miss making sound? Yes, very much. I really, really miss having a car that sounds good. the exhaust sounds are really fake through the speakers. They do a good job of faking it. They do a very, very good job of faking it, to the point where some people are like, wait, is this actually fake? And on the outside, you can hear a little bit, like when I'm going through parking structures, you hear a little bit of like the little 3-cylinder going, some turbo noises. But when people put exhaust on these cars, it seems like that's not the point. A 3-cylinder didn't sound good. It sounds like a freaking lawnmower. So I would never consider putting exhaust on the car. Would I change that? I don't think so. I wish the interior was a little bit nicer. Performance, it would be nice for it to be a little bit faster for the money. But again, I didn't pay the full MSRP cost of this car. If I was spending like $140, $150, I probably would have bought something else, or even $1,000 a month. So I honestly don't have any major complaints about the car, I think. At the way I got it in my specific situation, it was a no-brainer, no complaints, 100% happy with all of it. So I guess in conclusion, what were my favorite parts of living with the i8? For 2 years, 20,000 miles, all the trips I went on, the car shows I attended, the videos that I got to do with this car, the doors that open. It's just the overall, it's my introduction to the entry exotic car experience. I mean, it's not a supercar like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini yet, but it was a higher priced vehicle with the associated design, the technology, the way it looks, the reception, the feel of driving it. I love the technology. I've gotten really used to being able to have the 360 cameras and being able to like condition it from my phone and check my range and what my fuel economy on the previous trip was. These fun little things, heads-up display. I mean, the car was comfortable, efficient. I am about to spend a lot more gas on the next car because there's no way to beat this. This was great. Story time. Went on a rally down to St. Louis with Rally Kings. On these events, sometimes you drive in an aggressive manner involving accelerating from a lower speed up to, never exceeding the speed limit, up to the speed limit, but you burn fuel. So like these guys with full bolt-on GTRs running the 85 are getting like 6 mpg. The like Lambo, I think Gary and his Huracan was probably single digit or like low teen fuel economy. My i8 keeping up, matching everybody else's speed, running around with like walking scat packs and stuff like that. I averaged like 30 miles per gallon over the entire trip. So this is the car where you can have fun. If I'm like really, really driving it hard. I took it around M1 Concourse, the racetrack in Pontiac, Michigan, a couple laps on there, and I did manage to like burn fuel precipitously. But even when you're going hard, it's efficient because again, tiny engine, electric. If I plug it in and drive really efficiently, I'm seeing like 50s in MPGs. The highest I've seen recorded on one small trip, it was like a 15-mile trip. I got 181 miles per gallon. I just thought it was funny to see that gigantic number. The car is unique. It's different. Reception on the internet, on YouTube, as a lot of you guys will know. A lot of people are like, oh, it's stupid, the Prius, blah, blah, blah. I don't care what any of these people say. Go drive one, experience it. Have you experienced all the supercars? I don't know, because everybody who has been around them and seen them will at least respect the car and see that it's different and unique. I loved it. I really couldn't care less if everybody hated on the car, because every time I get in the car, it puts a smile on my face. I'm the one paying for it. I decided for it, and I just absolutely love this car. It's going to go away. I'll be sad. I will definitely miss it a lot because, again, it's my first entry into like this type of vehicle, and I spent a lot of time with the car. But I am excited for my next vehicle. I've put a deposit down on one, and I'm hoping it's going to come soon. It's probably different from what everybody else expects. It's not a McLaren. I'll say that right now. That's it. But, again, ownership experience of an i8, 2 years, 20,000 miles of happiness. It's been a lot of fun. If you want to get one, either message me on Instagram, email me. There are a lot of things. I mean, having spent time with the car, talked to some other owners, researched it, read every review online pretty much, talked to my dealer service tech. I feel like I am very, very knowledgeable about the car. And if you want to get one, because some of these things have depreciated to a very, very appealing price on the surface, definitely talk to me. I would love to discuss it. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. I hope you guys like this video. Hope you guys have also enjoyed kind of sharing the i8 ownership experience with me over the last 2 years. Thanks for watching, guys.